you're new, welcome. I'm Chris Dunn at Sam Bolt. We'll get known at. You guys in the right place. There are index cards on your table. Write your name on it, what part of the organization that you're a part of. We're going to collect these. Maybe we should. We're taking, yeah. Are we? Well, if this is your last session, throw it in the green sack.
Your
There's
last session.
prizes that are available to you. So, real quick announcement. We found the owner.
Big winner!
So thanks for showing up late. And then we also had a mug that we got to hand out for another 60 So who knows? Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. So come back. But we're not going to do it every session. We will hand out stuff for good behavior and just maybe reminder on the Alliance. We ask that everyone be present, participate. You guys did a great job. Those of you here, those of you new, this is what you're agreeing to, whether you like it or not. Okay? Be present, participate. Topless, keep your shirts on. You guys do this joke like 10 times a day, so bear with me. As we do. Keep your shirts on. If you need to do work, awesome, but remove yourself just so as you don't distract the folks around you. And then respect other people's thoughts, opinions, perspectives, etc. And everybody agreed to it. Those of you new, I assume that's a yes as well. Okay.
I just wanted to mention, there's Play-Doh on the tables. It's not for an activity, it's for idle hands. Right? So I know some people have already opened it and played, and that's a sport, right? Play, make stuff, but still be present, participate.
Yeah, still be present, meaning don't make elaborate.
Yeah, right. Start to grab stuff from other tables and build.
You're probably not listening. Right? All right, so we're going to talk about leadership, and to do that, we've got a really awesome set of speakers here.
Microphone.
I'll play a video with you guys. So, as you guys watched that video, what stood out for you? What are some of the thoughts that you have? Think of yourself as a leader? Lead by example?
Not about you.
Right now it's about me.
Well, it's always about you. I'm in the video. It's not about me. Is that better?
Yeah. Good. What else, guys?
I think, you know, the positive feedback you would get by watching the people around you grow, because you create an environment where they can do so and helping people believe in themselves, that they can be more than what they are yesterday, that tomorrow they can be better. I think that's the power of it.
So, Aaron talked about. That concludes. No. So Aaron talked about leadership. And she briefly hit on that we're all leaders in some form or fashion, whether we're organizational leaders or whether we're leaders in our community. Certainly, we might have a leadership role within our families, community, whether it be church or PTO. Maybe it's a team that you participate with. I mean, there's all forms of leadership. So keep that in mind as we go through some of this stuff. But that video talked about, if you read through the words, it talked about serving your community, serving others, watching people grow, etc. And that can be done again organizationally or through your family or community. So keep that in mind as you go through this in that vein. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some leaders. I'm going to show you a technique that we use. We tried with another group to kind of map out. It's called a personal map. Show you that technique. But we're going to talk about some leaders that we're all familiar with, and then we'll talk about some commonalities between those leaders. Okay. So the leaders we're going to discuss, and again, we're going to hit on how many of you have done mind maps? Personal maps is very similar. It's to help you get to understand who the people are, where the kind of spokes go out and how they connect, et cetera, et cetera. But it helps you get to understand where the thought process is. A personal map takes that concept and drives into the individual. And so it kind of helps you understand who the people are that maybe you're working with or interact with on a daily basis. But the leaders we're going to hit, Bill Gates, Dr. Martin Luther King, and Bono. So the first one, hopefully you guys can see that in the back and other stuff. I'll try to read through this. But here's an example of what a personal map might look like. And going through this, we'll start with the center, Bono, right? Models behaviors, builds community, is fearless. And the thing that, as we were doing some research around these leaders, we just took some ideas through a number of different articles about these individuals, trying to understand who they are as leaders and servant leaders specifically, and see what kind of characteristics we can come up with. The fearless, Bono and this Senator Helms, I think from South Carolina, had very differing views on there's AIDS. And so he went toe-to-toe with Senator Helms. And because Bono has a great passion with respect to, he's humanitarian, he works throughout the world helping raise money for cure to AIDS, right? But Helms was kind of stonewalling a little bit, so he just went straight to Helms. And it takes a lot of courage, it takes some fearlessness to go for something that you're very passionate about, and then connect. Actually have a conversation about his point of view versus Senator Helms. And they actually started to connect, build a relationship, and then Helms is the big component of helping Bono in this venture. But it didn't start that way. Right? It was Stonewall, but it took some fearlessness. Bono is very passionate. He's a visionary, dedicated. We all know him as a rock star, but these are some of the other things outside of that life of his. But as a rock star, they're the highest grossing tour in history, or at least at the time that I've written an article, might be different today, I don't know. And as a band member, there are equal collaborative partners. There are equal shares, even though Bono is in the spotlight more often than the other band members, they're all equal partners with him, in that specific band. This is an organization, RED. It's a group of other visionaries and humanitarians like Bono. They've raised over $350 million as of 2006, I think it was. $350 million since 2006 into the organization. So that's Bono. So I want you guys to think through some of these little spokes, bubbles, as we go through some of the other leaders. But his playbook, spread credit liberally, remind people they're essential to the mission, and then ask for more. So we kind of repeated that cycle over and over and over. That's how it's been so successful.
Sorry, what was the bubble above humble?
No ego.
Oh,
It looks funny. Thanks for pointing that out. It's my writing. And I had to go through it a number of times, so that's good for you. So MLK Jr., we start here with, he helps others support, move forward, reach goals. There's a sense of building a community, encourages involvement, new ideas. Certainly MLK back in those times, he was paving some ground that no one else has taken the stance to do, right? So some new ideas, great courage, involves everyone, lots of collaboration. It wasn't just him. There were others involved, and he was able to build that involvement in that community. Fearless, not afraid of change. Obviously, he was going after change, right? He wants to disrupt the status quo. He's a visionary dreamer, dedicated, passionate. There's a strong commitment. Doing things different is necessary for evolution and innovation. That bubble right there, I mean, I took that straight from the article, the materials that we were working with, and that you can apply to just about anything that we do. Obviously, he had a different cause than what we might do in LNAT, right? Playbook, total commitment, embrace fear, disrupt status quo, we wanted to paint a vivid picture, involve others, involve everyone, help others, and never give up on the dreams. And then let's hit Bill Gates real quick. Many of us are in IT, not all of us, but many of us in IT, so we're familiar with who Bill Gates is, Microsoft, right? Humble, selfless, helping others, knowledge and experience, providing resources, building leaders. That's one thing that was highlighted in some of the materials we read about Bill Gates, is he builds other leaders. Continued learning, continue to evolve, he's passionate. The continued learning and continuing to evolve, this really spoke to when he first became a prominent figure in the industry. He was known to be a terrible speaker, much like me. But he continued to work through it and get mentors and get coaching and continue to evolve and improve himself so that he could build other leaders within his organization and his community. Humanitarian, social responsibility, he's a dynamic entrepreneur, obviously, transformational, always, ahead of the trends, or at least trying to be it. Any other things about Bill Gates that might be a note? So you got Bono, you got Bill Gates, you got MLK Jr. And I think maybe I'll ask the question versus make a statement. Would you guys agree that they might be viewed upon as servant leaders? They model servant leadership, or at least what we perceive servant leadership to be. Of those personal maps, again, these are maps that Aaron and I produced for another session that we did, gleaning information from a number of different articles. What commonalities might you see between them?
they're all visionaries.
Visionaries?
A degree of selflessness.
What was that?
Selflessness to
Selfless?
a degree.
Humility. Collaborate with others. Elaborate.
Altruistic.
Humanitarianism. Agent of change.
Great role models.
What's that?
Great role models.
Great role models. Yeah, awesome.
Courageous and determined. Courageous and determined.
Courageous, determined. Yeah, they stuck to their guns. They stuck to what they believed in, right? And never gave up. So it takes some persistence, some tenacity to break beyond some of the barriers that were in front of them and have that courage to do so. Because not all of us have that kind of courage that these gentlemen did, certainly. So that's a personal map, and those are some, just trying to see the conversations that we're about to have. What I want you guys to do, we'll take a few moments. We've got some blank sheets of paper on the table. I want you to practice this for yourself. Think about who you are, what's important to you, and draw your own personal map. Start in the center. You know, I would put Chris, maybe some Cristo, which is my island name. And then I'd have fun from there, right? So kind of draw some spokes out, and then things, you start to see some connections of what you're passionate about. And maybe you have some passions that are not yet realized or achieved, so kind of bubble those out as well. Any questions? We'll take maybe 3-4 minutes. Don't overthink it. Just have fun with it, practice it. It'll look something like that.
Raise your hand if you need paper.
You guys have noticed this year, there's no artistic skills needed.
I'll do it later. Put Chris here. Look at this guy. He's like, would you go back and see that only an hour a week. Maybe an hour every other. Everybody's this morning it started.
Look at you.
Yes. Certainly, certainly.
All right. So, thank you guys for doing that. What I wanted to do is help reinforce what a personal map is. Obviously, using that to help us understand who the leaders were. How might you use personal maps outside of maybe personal leadership? How might you use that? Ideas? Because I'm looking for some. Yes?
I would use it to kind of gauge my own personality.
Awesome. Thank you.
Or maybe as a way to sell yourself.
Sell yourself in the interview.
That's all you need to know, right?
Just slide across the table.
You can see the left part connecting with other people and
Yeah.
see what you can share and working, all that together and exploring more each other.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it was, what we're saying here is just using it to help build some connections in a group that you're working with, which is a great way and kind of the way it's intended. It helps you understand who other folks are, what their interests are, whether they're professional interests or whether they're personal interests outside of work. For example, I might put cycling, there might be a bubble of cycling or something. And I know Isaac would have, so we would have, oh, hey, cool. So maybe we should go off. So we'd start to build a connection that way. It's a conversation starter, right? So if you're a new team, this is a great exercise to do with new team members to help get to know one another. You start building some commonalities and then things that you aren't. You've got some differences, and now you know, kind of to your point, how I might interact with this individual because of those differences, right? And so it's a good way just to get to know one another, build those connections. So thanks for doing that. You guys that's free, additional to this session.
Hey, Chris.
Yes?
So we see a lot of positive things up there on the personal map. Have you seen it used to maybe identify some weaknesses or negatives, things like that?
It's a personal map. So, if you feel that I haven't seen that, because most of us want to share, kind of most of the good stuff, or at least the neutral stuff, right? That's probably as far as I want to go, unless it's a one-on-one conversation. But absolutely, if you feel comfortable with that, and you feel it's important for the group that you're working with, absolutely. I mean, what's the harm in it, right? And I wouldn't be a proponent of going too deep, because again, it is a personal map, but maybe that personal is for a different venue. So, in a professional world, keep it professional, obviously. Maybe in a personal world, we might go there. So, there's a ton of stuff. If you do a search, Google search on servant leadership, you're going to get a ton of stuff. So what we wanted to do is try to boil that down to some highlights to at least give you a starter for where servant leadership is, give you some definitions. So there's a ton of material. You can find it. The material we use, Larry C. Spears, the character in servant leadership, 10 characteristics of effective leaders. Robert Greenleaf, which wrote a book, I think in 1977, 75, 74, somewhere around that time frame, way before I was born. Who's that? He wrote a book on servant leadership, and that's where the term was kind of coined from Robert Greenleaf. Jürgen Appelo, who's very involved in the Agile community, he had a speaker for the Agile 2016 conference in Atlanta, I believe, and one of the speakers, and then as well as the Mile High Conference. But Management 3.0. And then Ben Lichtenwaller, now is the time for servant leadership, and then Leadership Now, how fast leaders build trust. We can make these materials available to you guys if you like. And just a quick note, all the slides are posted on the Agile deck. So we'll update them because we made some modifications, but we'll update those models. So starting with what is servant leadership? So let's define it, and then we'll kind of go into some characteristics and traits. Robert Greenleaf defines servant leadership as the servant leader is servant first, begins with the neutral feeling that one wants to serve first. I'll let you read that. I'm not going to read it to you. what stands out for you guys? I highlighted what stood out for me. So what stands out for you guys in this definition?
Natural feeling.
Natural feeling.
All right, so.
I think it's interesting that it's a conscious choice, because I don't necessarily think it's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's a choice to behave in this way. And for some, it's harder than others, right? To put others before me. Aaron knows that. But, so it is a choice. And to think of others first and to serve them. And if you think of it in that mindset, it really is an empowering thing, right? You really consciously think about how can I serve this individual today, this group today. Really changes how you interact. This test is interesting to me. The best test is, do those serve grow as persons? If you think, again, going back to how do I interact with one another, did this person grow as a person through this interaction? The answer is no, then it's probably self-centered, right? It's probably, I was hoping to gain something and I feel good about what I did, but if you're truly a servant leader, it's making sure that they feel good about that interaction and they got something out of it. So, building on that, the purest definitions of servant leadership, let's go into the character traits, which are from the 36 spheres. We'll go through each one of these. And then I'll ask you guys, as we hit some of these characteristics, character traits, ask you to shout out what this might be to you, and perhaps personally or even professionally. So trustworthiness is one of the character traits. Again, a lot more fun when you guys participate. There's no right or wrong.
Being able to trust that you have their best interest at heart.
There's some other phrases, when you say trustworthiness, there's some other phrases that you might come up with. I hear them all the time.
Honest.
Reliable, honest, genuine,
Accountable,
Dependable.
accountable.
dependable. Do what you say you'll do, right? It's about respect. You guys are singing the song in school?
I think accountability is also
Sure.
Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Follow the golden rule, right? Tolerant, some of the definitions that he gave further out, I'll hit on some of this one. Be tolerant and accepting of differences, right? Cherish those differences with one another, because as a team, if you think of organizationally as a team, those differences complete us as a team, right? So the sameness, I mean, I can do this and so can you, and that's awesome. We've got two of the same thing, but where we differ is what really completes us as a team. So we think of it in those regards, that's helpful. How about responsibility?
Again, I think it links back to trustworthy.
A slight difference.
Yeah.
Trustworthy, I termed it as do what you say you'll do.
Take the responsibility to do
Responsibility, do what you're supposed to do, right? What was the ownership? How about fairness? What about the rules? Maybe. Don't take advantage of others. Caring. So again, these are character traits of servant leadership. Servant leaders. Caring. Some thoughts on caring.
Someone who listens.
Someone who what?
Yeah.
Someone who listens. Be compassionate, show you care. See them as people. Citizenship. Maybe in an organizational way, it might be a little bit harder to think through, but if you think of community, building community in your team, kind of building the community, taking those personal maps, for example, we build a community, we all have some commonalities, but we all also have some differences. So other thoughts on these six? So these are 6 character traits.
Citizenship and organization.
Yeah, they're very tightly linked. It's almost like you can't have one without talking about the other in a lot of ways. What was that?
I just was gonna say that citizenship within an organization, you've got your team, but it's a team of part of the company. So,
Yeah.
we can't just be looking out for our team and the success of our team. We have to make sure that we're looking at the other teams.
Now we've got a larger community built with smaller communities, right? The principles of servant leadership, as Robert Greenleaf listed, listening, empathy, healing, awareness. So you can kind of build upon the traits and then talk about the principles of servant leadership. Okay, so we just kind of build on it. So we've got a definition, we've got some traits, and now some principles that kind of apply to those traits. Listening, empathy, healing, awareness, persuasion. Persuasion. Anyone a little bit? Conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, commitment to growth of people and building communities. So you can see there's a tie into the traits, right? So these are traits I must exhibit, these are the principles that must be applied.
So you're pointing out persuasion. I think a lot of the traits are, characters that we would embody and people would, you would see that person as a role model. But then the persuasion part of it is more of a, trying to convince someone else, but you're not being a role model. Are you role modeling that behavior?
We're kind of hitting what Aaron hit on the previous session. Just telling versus having a conversation. Persuasion is about being open, but I have an opinion. I want to persuade you to some degree about this opinion based on my knowledge, but at the end of the day, it's not about me telling you exactly. So there's a fine line difference, right? But it's being able to persuade others. Think of Bono in the example I used with Senator Helms. He was able to persuade Senator Helms to move to a position that he wasn't before, right? And he did that through connecting, through persuasion. But they found a common ground. And once they found that common ground, they were able to move beyond the impasse that they were in. Because Bono knew he needed his support, right? So the traditional leadership model says, this is the way I want you to think and believe, or this is what I want you to do. Persuasion is let's have a conversation about where that might go. Make sense? It's helpful? Okay. What other thoughts do you guys have around this? So with all of this, there's a prevailing theme. To be a servant leader, things must exist. I mean, obviously there's traits must be present. We must believe in those principles to some degree, right? In order to serve your people well, what must exist in order for your mission and vision to be carried out? What was that?
Trust.
Trust. Trust. Trust must exist. If you don't trust me, and I'm trying to persuade you, you're not even listening. You don't trust me. You're already thinking about what devious plan have I devised, right? Where am I coming from? What's your angle? Why are you even approaching me with this? If there's distrust,